Welcome to Regulate and Rewire, an anxiety and depression podcast where we discuss the things I wish someone would have taught me earlier in my healing journey. I'm your host, Amanda Armstrong, and I'll be sharing my steps, my missteps, client experiences, and tangible research-based tools to help you regulate your nervous system, rewire your mind, and reclaim your life. Thanks for being here. Now let's dive in.
We're going to jump right into it today, friends. There is a lot of heaviness going on in the world right now, especially here in the United States where I live. But I think so many of us collectively everywhere are feeling it right now. In fact, just prepping for this conversation on regulated activism, I have noticed that my jaw has been tight. I've had a little bit of a stress headache that won't seem to quit. My shoulders have been up towards my ears. My glutes have been clenched. And all of these things often tell me that my body is just holding this deep, high stress level. So maybe just as an experiment, I want you right now to check in with you. What's your jaw situation? Can you take a big breath in? Just kind of let that go. Maybe rub the sides of your jaw a little bit. Where your shoulders, and if they're hiked up towards your ears a little bit with your next exhale, can you let them go? And then my personal favorite to check in with, because so often during the day, I just find my butt cheeks just clenched and holding, bracing for some stressor that may or may not ever come. Go ahead and check in with your body there too. And if you are also bracing, big breath in and just exhale, release. And if you get no further in today's conversation, that is an invitation that I want to offer you to take into this week, that as you're navigating the stressors of the world, the stressors in your everyday life, to just notice when you are bracing. And maybe you're not even bracing for things that are directly happening to you. But I think so many of us are tense and bracing for what's going on in the world right now. And when we don't allow these micro moments of reset, when we don't allow this felt somatic communication with our nervous system that says, hey, I know the world is big, the world is scary, there's so much happening right now, but look, right here, right now, you don't need to brace for it. Right here, right now, you're safe, you can let go. We are going to tire. We are going to check out. And I think the powers that be, these media outlets that are throwing these just devastating headlines at us over and over and over again, I think they want that. They want you dysregulated. They want you worn down to the point of shutdown. And for me, showing up in and for humanity, in and for my little life here, I refuse to give them that. I refuse to put myself in a situation where I feel helpless for an extended period of time. And so today's conversation is about regulated activism, is about taking care of yourself enough, understanding what living in the modern day world does enough to give you a choice on how you want to navigate it more intentionally. Because I think now, so more than ever, normal life isn't normal. Modern life and our technologies have evolved far faster than our biology has. And so regulated living, maybe even 100 years ago, happened so much more easily, happened so much more naturally without effort. There weren't screens in our pockets. We were mostly tuned into local news. We were outside more often. Our hands were in the earth. And for many of us, that's just not our reality on a day-to-day. And so we need to navigate modern life with the understanding that it's not what our biology, it's not what our psychology, what our physiology has been designed for. Now, before I go any further, I want to name what this episode is and what it isn't. So this is not some hot take on current events. It's not political commentary. This is not me pretending to have all of the answers or to be doing all of these things right. This is going to be me acknowledging that somehow you have all given me a platform that I am forever grateful for. This is me acknowledging that I now have a podcast that consistently shows up in the top 5 when you search terms like anxiety or depression. And what is happening in the world is absolutely having a direct impact on all of our mental health. So this is me showing up for you in a moment when, for many of us, the world feels heavy. The world feels like it's just falling apart. And we're not sure if there's anything we can do. So like I said, we are navigating a world right now where it's not normal. It is not normal to watch violence unfold from 5 different angles from a little rectangle light box in your pocket. And yet, here we are. It is not normal to be screamed 50 different devastating headlines every single week. And yet, here we are. It is not normal to question your child's safety when you leave them at the door of their kindergarten class. And yet, here I am on a semi-regular basis in my life. So what do we do? How do we show up as parents, as partners, as humans? How do we try to live meaningful lives when the baseline of our normal has shifted so dramatically? I don't know. I don't know that I have all the answers, but today and in these next couple conversations, I'm going to offer you some things that have been food for thought for me lately. And I want to start by just calling something out. What we are living through, what we are experiencing is traumatic. This is collective trauma. And for many, many folk, this is individual trauma on such a massive scale. The fear, the control, the manipulation, the divisiveness, the death. These are not abstract political concepts. These are very real nervous system activators that are happening on a large scale. And when I say trauma, I want to clarify. Trauma is not just something that happens to you in childhood or when these really big, bad things happen to you directly. Trauma, or the way that I use this word, is what happens anytime your nervous system is overwhelmed beyond its capacity to cope. When you have more coming in than you can process, when you can't metabolize or reset from high levels of activation or shutdown, when the demands of a moment or a day or a week consistently exceed your resources, or when just repetitively your sense of self or safety is shattered. And it's even more debilitating when we don't see an end in sight. And for a lot of you, that's what I'm hearing that you're experiencing right now. And I want to give you a little bit more context, kind of a neuroscience back piece to this, if you will. So when you witness suffering, even through your phone, even through a screen, your brain processes it similarly to direct threat. So something called mirror neurons in your brain fire, creating this empathetic response. Your amygdala in your brain activates as if that danger is happening to you. This is something that we call vicarious trauma, secondary trauma. It is something that nurses, doctors, firefighters, therapists, like folks in a helping profession are very, very familiar with. Again, it's a very real thing. And then we have this happening at a collective level. Entire communities are witnessing the same events, experiencing the same fears, absorbing the same grief. And this is when it becomes collective trauma. And we're not just individually overwhelmed, we're now collectively dysregulated. And that dysregulation feeds on itself. You are absorbing the overwhelm from the events themselves and then absorbing the overwhelm from the people around you who are also activated. And this can create a very specific kind of chronic overwhelm and exhaustion because your nervous system cannot maintain this sense of being on high alert indefinitely. Eventually, it will shut down to protect you. Eventually, your overwhelm will become too much. You'll find yourself kind of checking out, having something called compassion fatigue, dissociating. And I want you to know that if lately you've been feeling a little bit more checked out or disconnected, or going through cycles where you're just like mad, overwhelmed, angry, furious, shut down, disconnected, that's a normal cycle. You cannot do it all. You will not be able to save everyone and fix all of the things. So much of what regulated activism means to me is to do what you can, to do something, to be honest about matching your current capacity with the types of activism that you step into. Something I often say to clients is, let's take your ideal. Maybe it's your ideal habit, your ideal way of responding in a particular situation, whatever it is. The rhetoric or a phrase I often say is, let's take your ideal, let's get clear on what that is, and then let's rub that up against your reality and see where we land. So let's take a simple daily habit like movement. My ideal would be to get to the gym for an hour every single day. My reality is 3 young kids, 5 and under, with very limited childcare and working almost full time from home. Me leaving the house is a really big ask right now. So what am I trying to accomplish with this ideal of getting to the gym for, an hour a day? I feel better. My foundation is I need to move my body most days of the week, intentionally and with strength training in mind. So I've got a set of weights at home. I take my ideal way of moving, of exercising, is to get to the gym for an hour a day. I rub that up against my reality. It's not going to happen. So if I have in my mind that that's the right way to exercise, that's the right way to check this box, my reality is going to leave me feeling like I'm falling short, feeling like I'm failing over and over and over again, which is going to demotivate me to do something, right? Habits have to be something is better than nothing. We have to get rid of this all or nothing mentality. So that leaves me to, okay, the goal is to move my body. How do I do that from home more frequently and more intentionally? That is what regulated activism is centered on. What is your ideal way to step into the cause that's the most important for you right now? What is the most ideal way to be a defender of humanity right now? Okay, now I need you to look at your current reality. I need you to rub that ideal up against your current reality. The goal is to do something, to make a difference in a way that doesn't burn you out, in a way that doesn't overextend you to the point of falling out of the fight that matters to you. And if you look at your ideal way of stepping into activism right now as the only acceptable way of stepping into activism right now, and if that doesn't match your current life, your current capacity on a regular basis, then you are going to sit there and constantly be feeding your nervous system failure. I'm falling short. I'm not doing enough. And so my invitation for you is to look at your ideal and then compassionately, lovingly rub that up against your reality. What is a reasonable risk for you to take? That looked different for me, single and married in my 20s with nobody depending on me but my dog, than it does now in my 30s when I have 3 young kids at home. And that's okay. It's okay that your activism looks different than your friends, than your families, than people that you see on social media. Your activism right now might be radical self-care to get yourself to the place where you can more intentionally step into things that matter most to you. Now, before we continue, I want to be really clear about this term regulated, right? Regulated doesn't mean calm. It doesn't mean unbothered. It doesn't mean passive. You can be mad and regulated. You can flip tables while being grounded. You can rage against injustice and still feel connected to your body, to your breath, to your capacity, to your purpose, to your ability to respond rather than react. So regulation is about having access to your full range of responses, about being able to move between activation, this fight flight that we want right now, but also rest and safety to maintain this connection to yourself, to your community, even when there's chaos around you. So regulated activism is not about staying calm when the world burns. It is about doing what you need to do to stay capacitated and connected to, again, your values, your power, your community, so that you can continue to step into the fight for the things that matter. Because this fight is not going to be fast. It's going to be long and drawn out. And in so many different areas, we are going to be intentionally worn down, pitted against each other, fear-mongered. Self-care is more important than ever. You got to be good with you so that you can step in and care for others. You cannot lift weight that you are not strong enough to hold, just like at the gym, right? So this is an honest call to relook at your foundations right now. In the last few weeks, I have lost sleep, partly because we've been frozen in and I've had a lot of snow days with my kids, but I have not moved my body in the way that I know I need to be at my best. I've been a little disconnected from my community because I've been swirling in the chaos that is 6 consecutive snow days. But take a moment right now. How do your foundations look? Are you sleeping well enough, nourishing well enough, moving well enough, connecting relationally well enough? Those are things that matter to keep you resourced. And what I want to share with you now are a couple suggestions that really, really resonated with me from a post from a therapist named Megan Breen, and I'm going to link that post directly in the show notes, about ways that we can take care of our nervous systems right now so that we can continue to step in for the causes that matter most to us. And a lot of what I'm about to share is directly from that post. So a lot of these words are not mine, and I want to make that clear, and I will point you to that direct resource in the show notes. But it resonated enough that I was like, I've got to share this. I've got to share this. So number one is to recognize that not everything is urgent. If you are everywhere all the time, you are nowhere any of the time. This seems so overly simple, but friends, throughout the day, look at your feet, slow down, notice the water running over your hands while you're doing your dishes, breathe. These micro moments of presence are how we signal safety to our nervous system. Hey, right here, right now, regardless of what's happening in the world, like I'm okay, I'm resourced. And I think the most important part of this, friend, get your phone out of your hand. When all of it is in front of your face all of the time, it is impossible for everything to not feel urgent. I shared recently, I bought this little device called a brick to help me manage my doom scrolling time. I'll drop a link in the show notes if you're curious about that as well, but it has been wonderfully helpful. Number two is to protect your predictability. When life feels wildly unpredictable, your brain is starving for predictability, for habits, for routines that are consistent, but also check into the media that you're consuming. Can you watch some really feel-good, predictable rewatches? Can you allow yourself to not have that tension of like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You know what's going to happen. So your body can relax and just enjoy. When the world feels chaotic, your brain craves this like closed feedback loop. Predictability is what allows your amygdala to stand down. So how can you protect your predictability? Number three is to look for the helpers. This is something I'm going to talk a lot more about next week, but we need to find a way to hold the both and. So whenever I see footage of something awful happening around the world or in my community, I also ask myself, what else do you see? What else is true right now? Do you also see the neighbors, the parents, the friends who are standing up for the right thing, who are supporting those in need? Can I show my nervous system that while the threat is real, while that monster is big, so are the protectors. They are real and they're at work, finding the both and. Number four is to go where it is warm. Warmth is primitive. It is one of our most primitive safety signals. Think sitting around a campfire. It's the first thing that we feel in the womb. When you're hitting moments of overwhelm, or even just making this a part of your daily routine right now, how can you go where it's warm? Warm shower, warm bath, warm drinks, fuzzy socks, to again signal to our nervous system, hey, this is a moment, this is an environment of safety because there's warmth. Number five, I think, is that the little resets matter. How can you keep it small? Micro moments of right here, right now. Look at those little hands. Listen to those little voices chatting in the car. Play the Legos. Notice the sunset. Watch birds flying. Enjoy your cup of tea. Find the small micro moments of joy in your everyday life or work to create them. Smiling, laughing, sharing good news. These are some of our greatest energy resources right now. And focusing on the smallness of these moments keeps you open-hearted and pulls your nervous system out of this chronic sense of existential dread and back into tactile, immediate safety or okayness cues. And the other thing is to use nostalgia as an anchor. Can you listen to old music that evokes memories and emotions that are different than the ones you're feeling right now? So this can expand your scope of reality beyond this horrifying moment. And nostalgia is not just like memory. It is an active regulator. So this is something that we often call like autobiographical anchoring. It reminds your brain that things are temporary and they change. It also connects your current overwhelmed self to a person who has survived every other hard thing that you have gone through. What are the things that you can do to care for yourself? Regulated activism means that you need to be able to access more regulation, more grounding, more safety, more anchoring in the chaos. And next week, we are going to talk in more detail about how being a helper, looking for helpers, the tangible things that we can do help to fight off this sense of helplessness. And one of the things that I asked myself is, what can I do for my community right now? And again, I'm in my community doing small things, taking the groceries to the neighbor, baking an extra loaf of bread, showing up for marginalized folk in my immediate community. But I also asked myself, what can I offer this community here? What is something that we all need that's within my capacity to offer? And immediately my brain was like, we all just need a moment to be together. We need moments of guided co-regulation, a moment of guided exhale. And so for those of you who don't know, I teach a monthly 60-minute virtual somatic regulation class. I call it my release class. And it's an opportunity to just gently process stored stress, to reconnect to your body through breath, gentle movement, different research-supported nervous system regulation practices. And it's usually $17. And what I have decided to do for this full calendar year is, if you use the code REGULATE at checkout, this class is free. Join me, join others once a month for an hour for a guided moment of pause, of regulation, to check in and offer some somatic felt safety cues. And I will have details for this in the show notes. And then for anybody for the full year who chooses to pay the $17 fee, I will take all of that every few months and donate that to a cause of my community's choosing. So if you are needing a space, regardless of your financial resources, to learn some regulation tools, to be guided through them, to be held in community that is calm and holding and anchoring, please join me. Please join me for my monthly release class. Again, $17 if you can, and that'll be treated like a donation, or use the code REGULATE and join me completely for free. All right, friends, that's it for today. I am going to wrap this up with our 3 tangible takeaways. Number 1 is a reminder that regulated doesn't mean calm. It means connected to each other, to your personal resources. You can be furious and heartbroken and activated and still have a foothold in regulation. Still have the ability to stay connected to your body, to your breath, and to your purpose. Number 2 is that the tangible small things we can do helps to mitigate the helplessness. Again, so much more on that next week, as well as the third point I still wanted to reiterate today, which is to look for the helpers. Look for the helpers. Horrifying things are happening and people are showing up for each other. Both are true. Okay. Take deep breaths. Take deep breaths. If something in this conversation today resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to share it. And if you want to go deeper, there are 2 ways that I support folks. Number 1 is inside the Regulated Living membership, and that opens for enrollment in just a few weeks. If you want, I'm going to be sharing a ton about that on my Instagram. You can join me there, or my newsletter if you want to learn more about what the Regulated Living membership is, if it's the right fit for you. And if you are feeling ready or in need of more personalized support, if you need somebody to help you understand your specific nervous system patterns, work through your unique trauma responses, or to create a roadmap to regulation that actually rubs up against your reality and your real life right now, Restore is our one-on-one coaching program that does that. So again, drop links in the show notes. My website has a lot more information. I'm always open for questions. But friends, we oftentimes need a little more support in order to offer more support. And if this feels like a place you want to get that, I'm always here. All right. Until next week, I'm sending so much hope and healing your way.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Regulate and Rewire podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review to help us get these powerful tools out to even more people who need them. And if you yourself are looking for more personalized support in applying what you've learned today, consider joining me inside Rise, my monthly mental health membership and nervous system healing space, or apply for our one-on-one anxiety and depression coaching program, Restore. I've shared a link for more information to both in the show notes. Again, thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.